celebrating this afternoon, including a fantastic flute soloist, Mr. Jory King. And following the concert, you are all invited to join us for cupcakes in the lobby in celebration of the band's 50th season. Most importantly, though, our May concert traditionally focuses on youth, and today's performance is no exception. This afternoon, we have our scholarship recipients performing the entire concert with us, and after intermission, we will be featuring our outstanding 7th graders. We'll introduce them all to you a little later, but right now, we want to get on with the show. So, I need your help with a couple of things. First of all, if you have not already done so, would you please silence your cell phones? Second, please do not use flash photography during the performance. And finally, I ask you to please join me in welcoming to the stage the director of the Midland Concert Band, Mr. Joel Wiseman. Ladies and gentlemen, to honor America, please rise as you are able and join in singing our national anthem. That opening march was the Klaxon, a Henry Fillmore march from 1930. It was supposedly inspired by an aftermarket automobile horn with a particularly raucous, nasty sound, and it was known as the Klaxon. Our program continues now with 3 distinctly different selections, starting with music from the 2010 animated film, How to Train Your Dragon. If you don't know the story, it follows the adventures of a young Viking named Hiccup. He's the son of Stoic the Vast and leader of the island, or the Viking island of Berk. Although initially dismissed as clumsy and underweight, he soon becomes renowned as a courageous expert in dragons, beginning with Toothless, his flying mount and closest companion. And together with his friends, of course, he manages the village's dragon population in defense of their homeland. Our second selection is Ralph Hultgren's Celebration of Life. And this is an evocative composition that uses characteristic melodies to depict aspects of Jewish culture. A special feature of the work is the inclusion of sung passages, which expresses both the painful suffering and joyful hope that have been part of the history of the Jewish people. Now, our third selection is going to be a Randall Stanridge piece titled Stay. And according to Stanridge, he says, on a trip in 2023, I read the following on the back of a t-shirt. Hey you, the one reading this, the world is better with you in it. It had a profound emotional impact on me, and I decided to put those feelings into music. Stay is intended to be an anthem of hope, love, and understanding for those who find it challenging to go on in the face of adversity, and for those who sometimes feel the weight of the world is too much to bear. The piece carries a paraphrase of that original message at the top of the score and on the top of each individual part. It says, hey you, the one playing this, the world is better with you in it. Back to the music now with How to Train Your Dragon, Celebration of Life, and Stay.
So I didn't tell the band that I'd be coming up in between these two songs, but I always like to get a chance to talk with you at least once per concert, and this is the time that worked the best. So, I've got a couple of things I want to say about this group in front of you. The first thing is one individual. Mr. Bovid, would you stand up really quick? Mr. Bovid has been the voice of the Midland Concert Band for the last 30 years. This marks his 30th season. Now, the remarkable thing about Mr. Bovid in these 30 years is as a conductor, I get to go into concerts worry-free. You see, right here on the podium in front of me are all of his notes, which are very well crafted, I might add. And I don't have to think about what's going into the announcements. He takes care of all of it, and he makes it sound absolutely wonderful. All I have to do is tell him what songs we're going to do, and the rest is all coming out of that wonderful man. So thank you for 30 wonderful years. Now, the next and final thing that I want to say about this group in front of you is they make my job so easy. This is only my 10th year. It's the band's 50th year, so we get a lot of celebrating of even number 0 years. So we got 30 as an announcer, 10 as a conductor, and 50 as a community band serving your community, your band in your community, in your theater. The wonderful thing about this group, and the thing that I think has made this group special for the last 50 years, are the leaders within the group. My job to show up and swing my arms is very easy because I have individuals in this group that mentor me, individuals that bring their experience and expertise and come up to me after rehearsals and say, have you thought of this song? Have you thought of this idea? Some wonderful, wonderful leaders in the group. The list is too long. I don't want to mention them and then risk forgetting some. But for those people who have poured into me over these last 10 years, thank you for your leadership and your contributions to this community. I lied when I said that was the last thing. I had 3 things. The last is you folks out in the audience. Now, Mr. Bovid's going to thank you for your support later, but I wanted to personally acknowledge all of the people in this community that make this community band extra special. The people who donate into scholarship funds, the people who come to our concerts and support us. This is your community band. And as a community band, we're here as a place for members in the community to enjoy making music, but it wouldn't be as special as it is without the folks out in the audience coming to support us. The family members of the people, the community members that come out to support us, and the people that just enjoy being here to say hi. So later on after the concert, when we get to be out in the lobby celebrating today and enjoying some sweets, we welcome you to spend that time with us and chat just a little bit about what you can remember over the last 50 years or however many years you've been here supporting us. So thank you for supporting us as well.
Before introducing our next piece, well, there's two things I want to do. First of all, I want to thank Joel for all of his kind words. It has been a lot of fun, and I really enjoy it, so it's good to be here. I also want to mention that there will be a 15-minute intermission following our next selection. Now, George Bizet's 1875 opera, Carmen, tells a tragic tale about a free-spirited Romani woman who seduces a soldier, and that causes him to abandon both his duty and his fiancée. When Carmen leaves him for a bullfighter, the obsessive, jealous soldier kills her. Now, the story is set in Spain, as you might expect, and it explores themes of freedom, destructive passion, and fate. The music of Carmen has been widely acclaimed for its brilliance of melody, harmony, atmosphere, and orchestration, and for the skill with which the emotions and suffering of the characters are represented. The opera's color and passion have given rise to spectacular arrangements for guitar, piano, full orchestra, and in the case of Francois Born, flute. Now, born in 1840, Born was a flutist as well as a composer and professor in France at the Conservatory in Toulouse. Expert in both instrumental technique and in the development of the flute as an instrument, he is still recognized for his technical contributions to the flute. His Fantasie Brillante on themes from Bizet's Carmen is by far his most famous composition. And to close the first half of today's concert, we are so happy to have just an incredible flautist to perform the Fantasie for you. He has been an orchestral soloist since the age of 16. He has bachelor's and master degrees in music from Western Michigan and Bowling Green State University. In addition, he has performed numerous master classes and competitions. He is the assistant principal flute with the Macomb Symphony Orchestra. He is an active reserve musician soldier for the United States Army Reserve Band, and he regularly performs with the 338th Army Band as principal flute and piccolo. On top of all that, he enjoys a career in human resources, as well as being a husband and a father of 5. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please welcome Mr. Jory King. Ladies and gentlemen, will you please join me in welcoming to the stage once again the director of the Midland Concert Band, Mr. Joel Wiseman. Those of you who regularly attend these performances know that the band and its members have a strong commitment to encouraging young musicians. As many of you know, over the last 40 years, the band has conducted scholarship award programs for high school students. This year, because of the generous community support we receive, we are privileged to be making 11 awards totaling $9,500. Now, another avenue used by the band is to bring in 7th grade musicians recommended by their school band directors to play a selection with us at our May concert. These students have been attending special practice sessions as well as rehearsing with the full concert band for the past several weeks. Our scholarship award winners and our 7th graders are here on stage with us, and here to introduce these fine young musicians to you is MCB Band President Talon Hahnemann Earl.
Good afternoon. My name is Talon Hahnemann Earl, President of Midland Concert Band. It is with my sincere appreciation that I welcome all of you in the audience today. Midland Concert Band prides itself in our mission to encourage interest and participation in music-oriented activities among youth, as well as create, develop, and promote an appreciation of music and to educate members as well as the public in band literature. To fulfill that mission, Midland Concert Band has a tradition in inviting 7th grade graders from Midland Concert Schools to come play a piece with Midland Concert Band, as well as offering various scholarships to Midland County high school students. It is with my pleasure to recognize our outstanding 7th grade students and scholarship recipients today. Angela Kalaic, our Midland Concert Band Education Chair, is unable to be with us this afternoon due to illness, but she asked that I share her sincere appreciation with all the Midland County directors for the extra time and dedication you have given our students performing today. We have truly enjoyed having these students join us during our recent rehearsal cycle. At this time, I will begin announcing our outstanding 7th grade students. When your name is called, please stand. Jefferson Middle School students, under the direction of Nikki Brusky, Lola Garcia, Isabel Schuster, Nathan Nyakum, Andrew Povid, Easton Jung, Evelyn Winberg, Owen Rawson. Meridian 7th graders under the direction of Matthew Shepard, Grace Kelly, Pearson Roebuck, Tucker Schreiner, Maddox McDonald, Mick Levely, and Zach Kaffers. Northeast students under the direction of Katie DeReese, Jobin Wagner, Ellie Rygren, Benny Farrison, Finn Locker, Luke Lobsher. And finally, St. Bridget's 7th graders under the direction of Judith Peterson, Stella Burks, and Farah Merck. All right, if you guys can all stand and give yourselves another round of applause for being here today. Right. Thank you guys so much for being here today. It's truly been a pleasure. Next, I'm honored to announce our high school scholarship recipients. Before we do, I'd like to once again recognize and thank our Midland County High School directors, Steve DeReese, Katie DeReese, Matthew Shepard, Josephine Bossenberger, Eric Addard, and Chris O'Connell. Here to help me pass out our certificates is our secretary, Madison Roberts. All right. First, the Andrea Joan Worth Directed Scholarship for Percussion, Peyton Harder, Dow High School. Bruce and Connie Eaton Memorial Scholarship, Dominic Farrington, Midland High School. This next person is unable to be here with us today. It's for the Ken and Regina Peterson Endowed Low Brass Scholarship, Kelton Kiro, Midland High School. Fourth, one of our MCB scholarships, Ainsley Radosa, Bullock Creek. MCB scholarship, Sarah Yekel, Dow High School. MCB scholarship, Oscar Shelley, Dow High School. MCB scholarship, Reese Campbell, Meridian Early Middle College High School. MCB scholarship, Lyra MP, Midland High School. Stanford Road Endowed Music Scholarship, Low Brass, John Blizzard, Bullock Creek. Susan and Gary Burgess Memorial Scholarship Fund, Diego Camacho Celis, Dow High School. And finally, the Pamela Rowe Endowed Flute Scholarship, Leigh Johnson, Dow High School. And with that, I would love to thank and congratulate all of you guys once again. It has been a pleasure playing with you guys. I hope you join us again one day. All right. Again, congratulations to the students here today. The Midland Concert Band wishes you the best in your musical journeys. And truly, once again, I hope you guys come and play with us again because of how talented you are. And to our audience, whether you're family, friends, music educators, or simply enthusiasts supporting these students along the way, your support makes all of this possible because you were able to invite these talented students and help them guide their journeys. With that, let's get on with the music and enjoy the show.
Thanks, Talon. The piece that we're going to feature, the piece chosen to feature our 7th grade musicians today is titled Wingspan. Composed by Nathan Daughtry, this work takes us flying with a young fledgling bird as they are nudged out of their nest for the first time. Wingspan is an adventurous work for developing bands filled with soaring melodies and rhythmic excitement as we all learn to fly. From nest to blue skies to stormy weather and back. Back to the music now with Wingspan. It's been mentioned a couple times today that today's concert focuses on youth. Well, our next selection is for those who may not be so youthful, at least in years, but maybe young at heart, okay? If you remember the 60s, and I know that there's at least a few of you out there that remember the 60s, you know that the invading British groups of the 60s placed an indelible stamp on the face of American pop culture, and they created some of the most memorable tunes of that decade. We're going to play for you a Johnny Vincent arrangement titled The British Invasion, Hits of the 60s. It includes You Really Got Me from the Kinks, A Groovy Kind of Love from the Mindbenders, For Your Love from the Yardbirds, Mellow Yellow from Donovan, and Michelle from the Beatles. Now, following our 60s rock medley, we're going to change things up, well, actually change things up quite a bit, with an arrangement of an old hymn tune, It Is Well With My Soul, by Philip Bliss. There's a great story regarding the inspiration behind this melody. Horatio Spafford was a Chicago businessman, and he had planned a European trip for his family back in 1873. He sent his wife and 4 daughters on ahead as scheduled aboard a steamship, and he was going to be following them in a few days. But while at sea, that ship was struck by another vessel and sank within 12 minutes. Several days later, the survivors landed at Cardiff, Wales, and Mrs. Spafford cabled her husband a 2-word message, saved alone. Spafford immediately sailed to Europe, and it is speculated that on the sea where it was thought that his 4 daughters drowned, Spafford wrote this text with words so significant describing his own personal grief. You probably know the first verse. When peace like a river attendeth my way, when sorrows like sea billows roll, whatever my lot, thou hast taught me to say, it is well with my soul. Now, hymn writer Philip Bliss was so impressed with this experience and the expression of Spafford's text that he set it to music in 1876. And this afternoon, it is our pleasure to perform to you this David Holsinger arrangement titled On a Hymn Song of Philip Bliss. But first, the British Invasion, Hits of the 60s. As usual, before our final selection, we have a little bit of business to take care of. Once again, thanks to each and every one of you for coming out to support us, not just on this particular Sunday, but throughout the entire season. I say this at every performance, and I'm going to say it again. Those of us on the stage are here strictly for the fun of it. And believe me, today was a lot of fun. We simply love to play, and having an appreciative audience, such as you have been, only adds to the enjoyment that we receive and we are able to share through this wonderful thing that we call music. Also, we love encouraging and supporting the young musicians you met today. They are truly the future of groups like the Midland Concert Band. Special thank yous are in order for our 7th grade musicians and to our scholarship recipients for playing with us today. Very special thanks are also in order for our flute soloist, Jory King. Thanks also to our ushers, our stage crew here at the center, and all the other people who work behind the scenes. And last, but certainly not least, thanks to the MCTV crew for their great work recording, producing, and broadcasting our performances. Now, I would love to tell you what the date of our next concert is, but honestly, I don't know. We're still working out a few details, but we'll start publicizing our new season sometime around Labor Day. And if you're looking for information over the summer, you can check us out on Facebook or look at our website, www.midlandconcertband.com. Also, if you're craving more music after today, come to the Grace A. Dow Library Auditorium on Friday, May 8th at 7 o'clock. The Midland Concert Band Jazz Band will be doing a program featuring the sounds of spring. Admission is free. And finally, as we bring our 50th season to a close, I would again invite all of you to join us for cupcakes, some of which I understand are gluten-free, in the lobby immediately following the concert. Now, our final selection for today is titled Deus Ex Machina, or Machina, probably more likely, Deus Ex Machina. It's a Latin phrase that translates literally to God from the machine, or God out of the machine. While rooted in ancient theater, where a crane, the machina, would lower a god, Deus, to the stage, the phrase now refers to any contrived plot in literature or film that resolves a conflict. Well, composer Randall Standridge first heard this phrase in high school in an English class he was taking, and they were learning about classical plays. His teacher mentioned Deus Ex Machina, or God of the Machine, and according to Standridge, this is a quote now, "I'm not sure what she said after that, because my mind was busy envisioning an ancient God brought into the modern age with glowing neon eyes, speakers inside his mouth, and pulsing circuits growing out from his body into his temple built of circuit boards. It's an image that has stayed with me ever since, and every time I hear that particular term." Deus Ex Machina by Randall Standridge. Once again, thank you and good afternoon.